Race fans, how you doing? William Crossland here, back with another race review. But today it's a double episode, and it's something I've alluded to for a while, but today I will be covering both the STP 500 from Martinsville on Sunday, but also, for the first time ever, I will be attempting to be a NASCAR guy, stepping over the waters a little bit, and I'm going to try to review the IndyCar Classic from Circuit of the Americas on Sunday. And I'm going to start preparing myself as I get closer to May, as I have accepted this internship at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the month of May, and I will be there working with grounds crew and hospitality and things like that, and I will be all over the place. So I want to get myself as immersed as possible before I go. And also, I've been into IndyCar more heavily for the past 2 years or so than ever before, and so I think what better way to help my knowledge and things of that sort by studying it, watching every race, and really analyzing each bit of it and reporting on it for you guys. So I'm going to try that a little bit, but first we're going to do the Martinsville STP 500, the Martinsville Spring Race, which happened yesterday. So if you want to go ahead and skip all that, if you don't care about that, you're just here for the IndyCar analysis, the IndyCar review, skip over it. There'll be a time code in the description below, and you can go ahead and jump to that point right now. So Brad Keselowski won his second race of this season. Roll that meme.
Brad Keselowski won this race.
Thank you once again for post-editing. That's the second time I've had to use that this season. And I'm sorry I haven't been around for a while. After spring break, the dirt track race I was going to go to at Duck River was canceled due to rain, and it was rescheduled to a later date that I couldn't go back to it. And over spring break and coming back, moving back up here, I slacked off on the videos, and for that I apologize. But I'm back. So we went through the West Coast swing while I was gone, and I watched all of them still, but just didn't make a video for them. Las Vegas, it was all right. It was one of the better ones of the West Coast swing. Then we went to Phoenix. Yeah, it was all right. And then went to Auto Club. Oh, good grief. And did you see the qualifying? It was even worse. And man, it was I let my opinions known on Twitter about the group qualifying catastrophe that was Auto Club. The race was also lackluster, to say the least. Glad we came back to good old short track racing in the heart of Virginia at Martinsville Speedway, a classic. You know, been there since 1948. The place hasn't changed much, and it's such a great place to see NASCAR racing. So Brad Keselowski won the race for Team Penske. He led 446 of the total 500 laps, and that breaks the record actually for most laps led at Martinsville, and that surprised me. Really, nothing happened in the first stage, second stage. Brad Keselowski swept both of those stages, and he also won the race at the end, but really, nothing really happened until the final stage when he was leading, and Chase Elliott was able to lead some laps, and Kyle Busch was falling behind them. They were all having similar lap times as the laps wound down. The only other leader in the whole race, besides Brad Keselowski and Chase Elliott, was Joey Logano, and he only led the first 5. And then after that, he was really nowhere to be seen. And once again, this was another day, talking about Chase Elliott now, this finishing second. He led 49 laps today, and where was the rest of Hendrick Motorsports? They were getting passed. Well, let's see, Jimmy Johnson got passed by JTG Doherty cars. Hendrick Motorsports is struggling. We've known this for a while. Ever since 2018, they've been on a steady downward spiral in lacking performance out of all their drivers. And really, Chase Elliott, I can say this without any bias at all, that, I mean, you just look at the numbers. Chase Elliott is carrying Hendrick Motorsports, and you've heard other people say this as well. We've known it for a while, like I said. It's just disappointing to see a team that over the last decade has been the team. You know, they're the ones who crafted Jimmy Johnson and Chad Knaus, the 7-time champion. It's burned into your brain over and over again. But now that team is struggling because they've lost their heroes. They lost Jeff Gordon. They lost Dale Earnhardt Jr. He didn't have a championship, but he was still a leading force over there at the Hendrick camp. And now you got fill-ins that really haven't discovered what it takes to win yet, apparently. I mean, Alex Bowman made it into the playoffs last year, but Phoenix is his best track. Other than that, it's really been kind of disappointing to see that he can't really get the results that he wants, And also William Byron, he's got Chad Knaus with him now, but so far it isn't looking so great. I mean, he's got up there in the front. He leads laps sometimes, but he's not there at the end when it counts. And that's the most important part of it. And as for Jimmy Johnson, he's supposed to be the leader of Hendrick Motorsports, and he's underperforming. And you think it's going to get better in 2019 with Ally Bank jumping on, but it still looks like a repeat of 2018. Same story, just different car paint. I didn't mean for this to be a Hendrick Motorsports rant, but I haven't had my Hendrick Motorsports thoughts put on video yet, so I guess this is me doing that right now. So yeah, there you go. That's what I think about Hendrick Motorsports. Chase Elliott, although he is one of my favorite drivers, along with Ryan Blaney, from a analytical standpoint, he is carrying Hendrick Motorsports, and he needs to be recognized as the leader of that team. Also, over this West Coast swing, with my absence of not making a video and stuff like that, I've been noticing Kurt Busch over at Chip Ganassi Racing. Yes, Kyle Larson had led laps at Atlanta, and I think won a stage at Atlanta as well. But Kurt Busch is on a roll, folks. He has not missed a top 10 finish since Daytona. And actually, scratch that. He has not. He finished 12th. He finished 12th at Martinsville. But other than Martinsville, 12th in Daytona, he has been inside the top 10 and some of them inside the top 5. And there's a reason behind that. He's on, as you probably know, he's on a 1-year deal with Chip Ganassi, and this kind of makes it where every race situation is an audition for Mr. Chip Ganassi to keep him there and prove that he is still able to compete, being at what is now considered kind of a older age in NASCAR at 40 years old is Kurt Busch. And, back in the day, there was a lot, usually the prime of your career was about 40 to 45 of some of those older drivers doing so well, but times have changed. And I think as the years have gone by, the sport has progressively gotten more competitive and harder to do. With faster speeds and things like that. But that's a story for another day. Yeah, Kurt Busch is doing really, really well with his Chip Ganassi equipment, and I think his win will come sooner rather than later. Now, also, I was looking a lot at Ryan Blaney at Martinsville. He didn't get to lead any laps, but he was up there in the top 5 pretty consistently all day long. I was really proud of that effort by him. Now, he's the only driver at Team Penske, and Team Penske's been a really dominant team so far this year. Haven't seen too much of Stuart Haas like we did at the beginning of last year with Kevin Harvick's three-peat, but Team Penske is one of the top, showing that they're one of the top contenders for this early 2019 season. But Ryan Blaney is still the only Penske driver that has yet to win. I mean, it's still early. Who am I kidding? It's still early. He's still got a chance to get up there and win. Got Texas next week. I don't know how he'll do there, but Bristol after that. That's really all I have to say about Martinsville. Brad Keselowski, he had one of the best burnouts I've seen in a long time. I really enjoyed that burnout. And my final thoughts, although there weren't many lead changes, only 3 lead changes to be exact, it was a fun race to watch. Martinsville to me never really has disappointed me all that much. Definitely hasn't disappointed me as much as most 1.5-mile tracks are a bore to watch at times, aka Auto Club this year. That would have been a really boring review if I had reviewed Auto Club. So that's all of Martinsville. Congratulations to Brad Keselowski further solidifies himself as a top contender for the playoffs moving forward. Now has 2 wins under his belt, one when he was sick in Atlanta, and now here, now this past Sunday at Martinsville. So next week is the O'Reilly Auto Parts 500 at Texas Motor Speedway. I know Eric Eastup is happy about that because he'll get to go there after he's already been to Circuit of the Americas, which he put up a vlog. I would recommend go watching that. But as a viewer, on the other hand, on TV, I'm not too excited about Texas. Unfortunately, I think this 2019 Aero package still is not going to cut it for No Limits Texas, as they say. And since they reconfigured Texas and made it wider into turn 1 and 2, it's not that fun to watch. Last year, something to keep in mind though, last year during the spring Texas race, a big problem was tires being cut and tires not lasting, and as soon as one of their right side tires went out, they would just slam the wall. And that's why my review of spring Texas last year was called Slam and Jam, and it was like a Space Jam theme. That was also the last video I made before I just completely disappeared off YouTube for the summer. I won't do that this time. Fingers crossed. I plan to go further than that this time. Granted, there are a lot of opportunities that are coming up in my professional career. I'll keep you posted on that. It's things besides the Indianapolis internship. But I'll keep you posted on that. So now you can join us for IndyCar review of Circuit of the Americas right now. All right, now that we're talking about IndyCar, I can switch to my Joseph Newgarden hat. Slight wardrobe change. Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. It was the first time that IndyCar, the NTT IndyCar series, has ever gone to this new track. It was built in 2012, originally made for Formula One. But IndyCar decided to give it a go. It's been a couple of years in the making. My first impressions of the race with IndyCar at Circuit of the Americas, as a casual IndyCar viewer, it exceeded my expectations of what I thought that track would do with IndyCar. So they called this new race the IndyCar Classic, and I noticed all the other road course races are called Grand Prix, or Grand Prix in American terms. So I guess that's a new thing. I'm kind of new to that terminology, but that's my assumption. They just wanted to change up the name style. So as far as reviewing goes, I did miss the first race of the season, although I did watch it though. St. Pete. It's a street course in St. Petersburg, Florida, and Joseph Newgarden got that race done and won the thing. But something to note from that first race was that Felix Rosenqvist from Sweden and other rookies like Colton Herta were really making a name for themselves early at that race, and it really showed once they got to round 2 at Circuit of the Americas. I really enjoyed the St. Pete race, and I didn't think I was going to as much as I did, but when your favorite driver wins, I guess that helps. But it was also really fun to watch Felix Rosenqvist stay up there in front and also see the dominance of Will Power. Seeing the Honda engines have trouble and the Chevys dominate, that was kind of fun to watch. But now going to Circuit of the Americas, you had Zach Veach on the first lap be the first one to have trouble. Went off the racing surface. He had gravel all in the thing, and it took his steering column out of whack. He had to take it to pit road and get it repaired. So speaking of rookies, this is a big story with Patricio O'Ward, or Patty O'Ward. He made his first start of 2019 with Carlin Racing. Now, it was supposed to be with Harding Steinbrenner Racing, which is the same team that Colton Herta is a part of. And the Steinbrenner part, I discovered, was a part of the New York Yankees circle of people, of owners. But anyway, Patty O'Ward was supposed to join that team, but it broke about early to late February that he was not, because due to sponsorship cuts, he would not get to race with them. And of course, that's heartbreaking. And so you kind of wait for another offer to show up, and show up it did with Carlin Racing. And he only gets 13 races with them starting yesterday. And so now there's only 12 left, if I can do math. Um, he's a 19-year-old from Monterrey, Mexico, and I recognize Monterrey because it's the same place Daniel Suarez is from. So I guess Monterrey has a lot of karting around. They must have some kind of racing influence if that's two big stars who made it big in different disciplines of motorsports. But anyway, he made a really cool move around veteran Graham Rahal to take away the 10th position on lap 16, as I'll try to pull it up on the screen right now. Also, another guy I was really familiar with, obviously because of Napa sponsorship, and I follow Chase Elliott, and they usually have some media stuff together. Alexander Rossi with Andretti Autosport. He made really good use of the no track boundary thing they were going for at COTA. Whereas if when Formula One's there, they were a lot more strict on where the track boundaries were, because there is a lot of runoff area at Circuit of the Americas in an attempt to improve safety. But IndyCar took the approach of, if you can make it work, make it work. And so I think Alexander Rossi took that to heart. And as he was passing Colton Herta on the long straightaway that leads into turn 12, he not only did he go over the white line, he went into the red part of the tarmac and went all the way around Colton Herta. And Colton must have thought, well, I'm right. I'm to the far side of the left. There's no way he can pass me around here because that's the track boundary, right? And Alexander Rossi's like, nope. This is the track boundary. Learn, son. And so a little rookie lesson taught there early in that race. And so, of course, being a Joseph Newgarden fan, I was focusing on Joseph Newgarden the whole time, and his Team Penske teammate Simon Pagenaud in the 22, and Will Power, of course, in the 12. And Joseph Newgarden was doing a really good job staying up in second and fourth, staying around the top 5. He moved back to 7 for a little bit, but I really wasn't paying attention enough to this rookie called Colton Herta. And as soon as lap 20, he proved that he was a threat to win already, because he was sandwiched in second place between two Indy 500 winners and a series champion in Will Power, and between Will Power in first and Alexander Rossi in third, and the second was Colton Herta. But I understand that not a lot of rookies can do that, and I don't think he would ever imagined maybe this time last year that he would be in the middle of two veterans of the sport, Indy 500 winners at that as well. And he wasn't there by chance. He was there because he was keeping pace with them, and he was just as fast as them. And that really shows a lot of potential and promise, not only out of Colton Herta, but also Harding Steinbrenner. I understand they have a connection with Andretti Autosport, so kind of like I guess like in NASCAR, it's like a technical alliance where they can kind of take data and telemetry from one another and use it in their machines as well, even though they are from a different name. Will Power dominated this race, and believe it or not, there was more lead changes at Martinsville than there was Circuit of the Americas. But they were both. This only had one lead change, this Circuit of the Americas race, but it was still really entertaining and really competitive. So everything was going well for Will Power until a caution with the Canadian James Hinchcliffe and Felix Rosenqvist into a turn, and they thought at first that the rookie Felix Rosenqvist had spun himself by going too hard into the corner, but it turns out there actually was contact from James Hinchcliffe into Felix Rosenqvist. So that brought out a caution, exactly what Team Penske did not want to see. So this brings Will Power to hopefully get his final pit stop and get right back out there and win the thing. He started on pole, and they were doing a special promotion where if you won the pole and you're able to win the race, you would get a $100,000 bonus. So they were all thinking, all right, we got this in the bag. We just got to pit, get back out there and win it. Well, I guess things don't always go as planned, because here comes Will Power. They do a really nice pit stop, and then my jaw dropped because I saw that he wasn't moving out of his pit stall. I'm like, okay. So it stalled. Turns out it was a drive shaft problem. So the car was still making noise, but he couldn't switch it into gear, and so he couldn't move. They tried changing some things around the fuel cell. They tried to push him out, old style, but they couldn't do it. So Will Power's day was done, unfortunately, and Simon Pagenaud, the other Penske driver, was out because Alexander Rossi gave him a tough love hit after he felt he was done wrong by Simon. And so that put Simon Pagenaud out of the race. So that left Joseph Newgarden as the only Team Penske driver left in the event. So now Roger Penske's only hope lies within the number 2 of Joseph Newgarden, sitting in second. But Colton Herta had something else up his sleeve as they came to the restart with 10 laps to go. Colton Herta got an excellent restart, and that was all she wrote, basically, with him easily grabbing a little bit over 2 seconds of space between him and second place of Joseph Newgarden. And Colton Herta still had some push to pass left to use if he needed it. His crew was telling him to hold on to it in case there was another caution, and which that has happened before, and it has cost people the win for using up all their push to pass, and then caution comes out, and then when they come back to the restart, they don't have any overtaking juice left, and so they pretty much get left in the dust after that restart. So luckily that didn't happen to Colton Herta, and if in case it was going to happen, he saved enough seconds of push to pass just in case he needed it. He held the lead all the way through that last restart to the end, and Colton Herta became not only the inaugural Circuit of the Americas IndyCar Classic winner, he also became the youngest IndyCar driver to ever win a race, beating Graham Rahal's record from 2008 when he won at St. Petersburg, a little over 19 years old. Colton Herta won at COTA yesterday as only 18 years old, 11 months, and 25 days. Youngster. I can't believe I'm 22 years old. And there's 18-year-olds out there winning IndyCar races. It's like, what did I do wrong in my childhood? I wanted to do that, you know? But anyway, that's really awesome. Colton Herta getting his first win, second race of the season. He's a rookie, and I believe he's got a big future ahead of him. And not only him, but also Felix Rosenqvist with that Chip Ganassi ride in the 10. He's also somebody to look at. He had trouble at COTA yesterday, but before that, he was doing very, very well. And he had a really nice ending to St. Petersburg. And I don't know, but something about Colton Herta kind of reminds me of a young Jeff Gordon. I don't know if it's the facial features or the demeanor or the fact that he pulls out sprint car-like moves, because Jeff Gordon also came from sprint car racing in California and was almost going to join the IndyCar. He's almost going to go open wheel racing in his professional career before he went to stock car racing instead, which would make a really cool alternate history episode of somebody's channel. It's really cool that Circuit of the Americas changed their Twitter name to Colton of the Americas yesterday in honor of his win. So really big attention for Circuit of the Americas, having their first ever IndyCar event, and now having the record broken 11 years later after Graham Rahal in 2008 for the youngest IndyCar winner in history. So after 2 rounds of 17 races in the 2019 NTT IndyCar Series, Joseph Newgarden still has the points lead, with now Colton Herta in second and 5-time champion Scott Dixon sitting in third. And next race, which will be April 7th, they will be at a race I almost went to, but I chose to go to Bristol and fall instead. Maybe I'll go there another year. But the Barber Motorsports Park in Birmingham, Alabama. It's probably the closest IndyCar track to my location besides Indianapolis. But it's also Joseph Newgarden's relative home track. He won there last year, so as a Joseph Newgarden onlooker, I'm hoping he has another great result and is able to keep that points lead going. So that's all I have to say about that, Forrest Gump. So that was my attempt of a NASCAR dude's look perspective of IndyCar. And I hope to do this again with Barber and so on, and maybe get some footage when I'm in Indianapolis for the Grand Prix of Indianapolis and the Indy 500, if I'm able to. I hope I'll have some opportunities like that to get some exclusive footage and things like that while I'm working there. But that's all I have for this huge double episode. I don't know if I'm going to turn this into 2 videos or not. It might be one big video. You know now by the end of this video. So thank you so much for watching. And next week we have Texas with NASCAR, and 2 weeks from now in IndyCar, they'll be at Barber for the Grand Prix of Alabama. Honda Grand Prix of Alabama. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to like this video if you haven't done so. And also follow me on Twitter at WCrosslandNASCAR. And I'm also keeping up a blog on WordPress, trying to keep that going. I'll also throw that link in the bottom. And until next time, this is William Crossland, and thanks for listening.